Barbados, get up.
Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Morning to you.
And I wish you the very same as well. A very good morning to you wherever you are. Thank you for waking up to keep us company on morning. It's already bright outside. You know when at 2 o'clock it is bright outside, you know what's going to happen at 2 o'clock? The sun is going to scorch you. It somehow feels as if it's going to be very, very hot today. But whatever it is another day for you to rise and give thanks indeed for all that God has given to you, and not forget your brothers as well to share something with someone today. We're thankful for having you company. Remember, if you're watching us on our streams on YouTube, Facebook, or our website cbc.bb, share the show. Do not keep this to yourself. Tell someone else about us and bring them along to involve themselves in what we do every morning. After all, we are family, and you are as well. So thank you for doing so. Interact between yourselves, but interact with us as well. I love to see your comments. I'm also grateful when you do, because it keeps us involved in your interaction. So continue to do that as well. It's Wednesday, by the way, Wednesday the 7th of May 2025. It is the day after the common interest examination. Get into that in a minute. But if you have an idea, or if you know of something or someone which you think we need to show on the show, then send us an email. It is really, really quite simple. The email address is morninbarbados@cbc.bb. morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Do so, and we thank you so much for sharing with us. So, it's the day after the examination. Children, how was it? Seriously, how was it? We saw you guys get ready to go in. We saw you come up with your smiles, with your friends and everything else. And it means to me that you really enjoyed the exam, in the sense that you got through pretty okay. It wasn't that stressful. See, I told you that from the beginning. It's not that stressful. It's just another day. It's just another examination for which you were prepared. And so let's wait on the results now. Let's hope that everything comes back the way you want it to. Patricia Ben, good morning. She's wishing our technical crew and the entire production crew of Morning Barbados a very good morning. Be back at you, Patricia, in the USA. Anthony Smith, good morning to you as well. I think you said you were in New York. I think it is. We are watching on YouTube, but a very good morning to you as well. Kieran is also bright and early indeed. It is a joy to be here with everyone. To Kieran, we're happy to have you as well. Thank you so much for waking up to keep us company. Rhonda Hines Graham, look at you on this Wellness Wednesday. Good morning, sweet Rons. I'm hoping you're having a grand old Duke of York day, and we are as well from Morning Barbados. I wish you well. Have a lovely one indeed. Roosevelt Bako is watching from the United States as well. Bako, good morning to you, brother. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday and a great today. Marcia Rock, she says good morning to all of the beautiful people watching us on this wonderful Wednesday. Do keep yourselves safe. We wish the same to you, Marcia Rock, as well. Keep yourself safe as well. So I have a riddle. They sent the riddle to you. Indeed, I have a riddle. That one which you did not get right yesterday is back today. You know I don't give up. I'm waiting on a correct answer, and it's at that point that I will move on. So until I get a right answer, I'm stuck right here. Unstuck me, please. Please, please, please. The riddle for today remains what? Not that one. Move that one, move that one. The riddle remains, it belongs to you, but your friends use it more. What is it? That one you just saw is the next one. But the one I'm trying to figure out today is, it belongs to you, but your friends use it more. What is it? Dr. John Barker is already stumped. We shall unstump him in a moment. But it belongs to you. Seriously, it belongs to you, but your friends use it more. How is that possible? Is it your car? It certainly is not your bank account, because they know that's not what you'll allow. But what is it that belongs to you that your friends use more? Give me a call, 228-5562, or 228-5563. And let's see how smart you are this morning indeed. So give me a call now. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Now, coming up this morning in our women's segment, yes, Dr. John Barker is here. We want to look at one of those conditions that you've been experiencing. Should it be a heavy period? You're noticing pelvic pain and a whole lot more. Identifying the symptoms and solutions to PCOS. We'll take another look at that this morning with Dr. John Barker. Are all leadership programs the same? And if not, what are the differences? And what are meant to be achieved by leadership programs? We want to talk about that when we talk HR with Hermab in just a little while. This morning, we'll also be visiting Liberia, as a matter of fact, off to the continent of Africa. Why? You need to stick around to find out why, because we're connecting with a Barbadian man there who has quite a story to tell. And as you know, our president is there, and so we want to hear what's the connection between the two. And if you're a business developer, if you're wanting to position yourself beyond 166 square miles into Asia to just really realize all of the income that could derive from your business idea, there's a summit coming up in early June. We shall tell you about it, or perhaps remind you about it as well. So is there anybody who can tell me the answer to this? Why you didn't tell me? Interrupt me all the time. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, who's this?
Peace be unto you and yours.
Gail. Peace be unto you as well. How are you doing?
I'm giving thanks for another day.
Amen.
One day at a time.
One day at a time, sweet Jesus.
Oh, yes.
That's all I'm asking of you.
Oh, yes.
Now, Gail, something tells me you know the answer.
But it's my name because you call it my name.
You think you're the only one with that name, Gail? For real?
No, but you talking to me now?
Yeah.
People are always calling my name, whether it's in good terms or bad terms.
But they call your name.
Yes.
So your name belongs to you.
Yes, please.
But your friends use it more than you.
Yes.
You really, really think so?
Yes.
And that's right, Gail. It's your
Right.
name.
Of course.
She doesn't believe me, you know. Gail, you're absolutely right. Your name is
God
that
bless
thing
you.
that belongs to you too.
Have a wonderful Wednesday. You
In
hear?
Jesus' name. You hear? Thank you. Have a good one, Bite Man. Right, so it belongs to you, but your friends use it more. It is your name. And that's absolutely right. So, another one to come. You know me. Another one to come. But let's get started this morning by looking at women's health. We're joined by our obstetrician, gynecologist, you know the big words, Dr. John Barker. Good morning to my brother. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me this morning.
It's always a pleasure to have you, my friend.
Same here.
And so today we're looking at one of those conditions that affect a lot of women,
Yes, please.
majority of women.
A fair amount. Usually around 7% of women. However, at least more than 50% of women go undiagnosed.
You serious?
Yes, please.
That many women go undiagnosed. And undiagnosed doesn't mean that you don't have any symptoms. It means that you were not able to put a name to the symptoms.
Yes. So in terms of polycystic ovarian syndrome, what it is a triad of stuff to get diagnosed. So the first one is usually the patient will come with irregular periods or no periods at all, or infrequent heavy periods. And then the next thing that they would have is signs of androgen excess, which would be like oily skin, acne, or sometimes they might have hair on the chin, or sometimes they might see women with hair on the chest as well. And then the third criteria would be ultrasound evidence of polycystic ovaries.
A woman.
Yeah.
To be a woman. So those are some of the common conditions.
Yeah.
Let's look at those because you're talking about hormone imbalance.
Yes.
And that's associated with increased hair growth and not
Yes.
hair on the head.
No, it's hair on the chin. So sometimes you might see women with hair on the chin. Sometimes you might see them with hair on the chest, hair on the abdomen, which would be the male distribution of hair. So some people may have these fine hairs, or some people might actually have beards, or some people might have see the hair on the chest. Actually see the hair on the chest.
And you can't reverse this, can you?
No, but in terms of the cosmetic, you can either laser the hair, or sometimes you can, well, not shave. I don't advocate shaving, because if you shave, then the hair gets thicker. There are some creams that you can put on the face to actually thin the hair, so it actually gets more acceptable in terms of cosmesis.
And like the men, if you shave it, it's going to thicken.
It's going to thicken, yes.
It's coming back.
Yes, and sometimes you see some women with the actual razor marks in terms of where they're actually being shaven and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, to be a woman. So how do we diagnose it now? So about 7% of women, we have been able to diagnose or
Yes.
so of the population of women
Yes.
with PCOS.
Yes.
But there's, as far as you're aware, if you project that, it looks like more than 50% of women
Yes,
on
please.
island are living with PCOS
Yes.
undiagnosed.
Yes.
So how does she now, once she knows what we've just shared, she's noticed the facial hair, the chest hair, the stomach hair, the irregular menses, all of those kinds of things, she's concerned.
Yes.
Because other women, the other 50% are saying, what are you going through? I don't understand. Why are you like this? So
Yes.
she feels weird. And so she comes to you.
Yes.
Or-
Yes. Right. So once she comes, we would then do the ultrasound scan to diagnose the polycystic ovaries. Weirdly enough, sometimes you can have just the hair, or the acne and the oily skin, and sometimes you might just have the irregular periods, but the ovaries might be normal. But you're still diagnosed with the syndrome because you have 2 out of the 3 characteristics.
Let's look at the screen for a second.
Yes.
So explain to me what I'm looking at.
Right, so the picture on your left is essentially an ovary, and the little circles that you're seeing are the very small cysts, right? So essentially what they are, those are follicles, so they're about 1 millimeter, 1 to 2 millimeters. Usually the characteristic is one of your grandmother's pearl chain. And how do you say it?
Which you clutch the pearls. Yes.
Right. So that's the actual feature of it. The one on the right is essentially the same thing, but a different cut in terms of the image. But those are the classic polycystic ovaries. So once we see that and you have irregular periods, then that's how we get the diagnosis.
I've heard it's painful.
No, it isn't painful actually. The only thing is that the long-term effects, because it is associated with insulin resistance, so you have a higher incidence of type 2 diabetes. Sometimes you have, because of the irregular periods, most people are okay now in the 20s, 30s, but as they get to the 50s, 60s, what they get is endometrial hyperplasias, which are abnormal thickening of the lining, and sometimes it can predispose you to endometrial cancer as well. But because of the metabolic issues, the cardiovascular issues, usually we give patients a leaflet on the long-term consequences of it. That would be diet, exercise, and get down weight, because usually the patients with PCOS, the majority of them have an elevated BMI, so you try and get the BMI down. Once that comes down, then the periods start to get better. With the hair on the chest and stuff, we do a serum testosterone. Very rarely it can be due to a very high elevated testosterone. That in itself is another issue, because sometimes you may have a tumor somewhere else that's driving the testosterone.
All right, the BMI, body mass index.
Yes,
Don't get
please.
scared of those acronyms, folks. Body mass, in that, the ratio of bone density to
No, it is weight and height.
weight and height.
Yeah, so if you have a BMI over 30, it means that you're obese. So you try and get it below 30. Say like a bodybuilder will have a very high BMI, but it's not that he would be unhealthy. It's just a muscle mass that they have.
So that's what it's about. And so is there any way to slow the progression down?
It is all about controlling your metabolism in relation to prevention of diabetes. There's no known cure for it. So all we do is treat the actual symptoms and prevent the long-term consequences. So essentially with your periods, if you're getting irregular periods, we try to let the patient get more than 5 periods a year. So sometimes we will put you on the oral contraceptive pill or any contraceptive pill. In relation to the diabetes, diet, exercise, sometimes we might have to put you on metformin as well too. And then sometimes if it has infertility issues whereby you're not getting pregnant, then we try to sort that one out as well, or sometimes you might have to go to IVF treatment as well.
So if you have long-term implications, what are the long-term? You can get type 2 diabetes. We just mentioned
Yes,
that.
please.
Cardiovascular problems
Yes,
owing to
please.
high risk of hypertension.
Yes.
Cancer, if it's less than 3 menses a year.
Yes, that's the line of the womb, which should be the endometrial cancer.
And of course, you'll feel a way about it, so depression is possible.
Yes, please.
With some
Yeah.
mood swings.
Yes.
And you're not becoming a man. That's not what it means at all.
No. It's just when you take everything in context. Some people will be very emotional because they can't get pregnant, they're not seeing the period, and then they're putting on weight, and then they can't get off the weight. So it's a whole myriad of stuff that actually coalesces. Yeah.
So ladies, I know you're asking, so what do I do? And we'll talk about that a little bit more right after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affairs segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
17 minutes after 6 o'clock now, ladies, this is your time to understand a little bit more about perhaps just what you're going through as it relates to PCOS, which means, Dr. Barker?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome.
There you go. So now you know when you see those 4 letters, that's what it means. Polycystic ovarian syndrome. Simple Simon met the Pieman. And so, what are the long-term treatments available to women? Because clearly, there's nothing that she can do to stop it, and there's nothing she can do to slow it down.
Yeah, so essentially what it is a symptom-based issue. So in relation to controlling your periods, then we advocate going on the pill, which could either be a combined pill, which has in both estrogen and estrogen. It can be a progesterone-only pill, which means it only contains progesterone, so you take it all the time, so there's no break. If it works well, you don't get any periods at all. The combined pill, usually you get a period every 28 days or so. So that's the contraceptive pill. You can also put you on something called the Mirena coil, which is essentially a coil that you put in the womb. And essentially what that does is either decreases your periods, if you get heavy periods, stops them altogether. 2% of people get irregular constant bleeding. But the 2% of people, if they get in contact with you and you haven't actually put it in, more than likely you wouldn't put it in. So that's why I like to get them before they get to these 2% people. Yeah?
I got you.
Good. Diet, exercise. Essentially what that does is to get your BMI down to below 30, and essentially even if you're having fertility issues, usually the fertility people will tell you that to get your BMI down below 30. This has the added effect of actually regularizing your periods, 1, and 2, most people then start to ovulate then as well too, so the actual fertility actually improves. Sometimes, depending on the patient, you may have to counsel them both psychologically, but the main issue is giving them a leaflet in relation to the long-term consequences of PCOS. It should be the cardiovascular issues, the cancer issues, and the diabetes as well. And that is mainly to educate them from a perspective of taking care of themselves, because everybody's good when you're young, but as you get older, then all these chronic non-communicable diseases come in and stuff. Yeah.
Would hormonal treatment help to deal with the hair issue, the testosterone levels?
No, funnily enough, most of the ladies that have the syndrome, the testosterone is normal, but a very small percentage may have a very high testosterone. So these patients I would refer out to the endocrinologist. Now for the hair itself, waxing, but and laser. Laser is better, but the problem with laser is that laser is more expensive. All right. Sometimes you can use a cream called Veniqua, but we don't have that in Barbados, unfortunately. But what that does is thin the hair. So rather than it being thick and coarse, it actually thins it, so it makes it a bit more acceptable. But usually, what I would advocate would be laser if they can afford it. Yeah.
Is there anything that you can, or any way you can test a girl before she becomes mature enough to have menses, so you can see whether or not she is likely to develop PCOS?
No. One of the major causes of children or adolescents not getting their period in terms of non-congenital or non-anatomical, which is due to like something going on in your glands and stuff, is actually PCOS. So usually if a patient comes young, 14, 15, not getting the periods, then that's one of the first things they have to rule out. But there's no actual test to say about pre-adolescence, well, you are at risk for it because you don't know.
But if your parent was experiencing PCOS, am I more likely, or she more likely?
There's no genetic in terms of saying that you would inherit.
Girls, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
Trying to find those links that would cause you to take it a whole lot more seriously younger.
Yeah, and some people treat themselves unknowingly as well too, because some people will come with irregular periods and stuff, and then decide that they want to live healthier. So when I see them in 2-3 months, periods, everything back to normal, hair decrease and stuff, I say, well, you treat yourself.
So, control your body mass index.
Yes.
Pay close attention to that. It'll help you manage the heavy flows and so forth. The pelvic pain, though, talk to me a little bit about that part of it.
Right. You don't usually get pelvic pain with PCOS. If you get pelvic pain that is continuing for more than 6 months, usually be endometriosis. No, which is essentially the lining of the womb inside cells like that on the outside. What you will find is that you have a lot of people who may have PCOS, may have endometriosis, but there's no definitive linkage between the actual two. But it's just to rule out what would be causing the pain. Because usually, if you have chronic pelvic pain, it's usually bowel, bladder, or pelvic cause, female genital cause for the pain. So once the issue is actually listening to the patient, because usually when you listen to them, you actually get the diagnosis. So I always advocate people to listen to the patient. Even though it may take you an extra 5 minutes, you listen, and that's how you get the diagnosis, because sometimes they might have 2 or 3 things going on.
Right.
And usually we just focus on one thing. So sometimes you may got a patient with 3 things going on, and you got to treat the one that has the most symptoms, and then cut that out, and then you deal with the second one, and then cut that out.
You have to do it in layers, depending
correct.
on the severity.
Correct.
The woman with PCOS, again, just to be clear, is she likely to get pregnant?
Right. So some females have a hard time getting pregnant. The ones that get pregnant easily are the ones that, although they're diagnosed with it, they actually have regular periods. The issue would be is the ones that aren't ovulating. So those are the ones with the very irregular periods. So they will have no ovulation, and then the bleeding would be haphazard. So once the lining gets thickened, it just sheds. So those patients who have a harder time, so those are the ones that we try to get the weight down, and then hopefully they start ovulating on their own. Sometimes we give them metformin, or sometimes we might have to refer them to the fertility guys who will actually give them medication to make them ovulate, and then go from there.
Is the diagnosis picked up at a general practitioner, or does it mean that one has to come to an OBGYN?
Depending on the symptoms, the GP might send them for ultrasound scan. Okay. So some people are diagnosed by the GPs, the majority of them. Some people will be diagnosed by the gynecologist, but usually between the GPs and the gynecologists usually do the diagnosis.
All right, folks, there's over 50% of women on island who are living with most of you undiagnosed. Yeah. You may have had one or the other symptom, but you need to be very clear as to what you're experiencing. Attend your GP today and begin the passage to knowledge, because in knowing what it is, then you're better able to manage what it is. There are no cures, as you see. There are no cures, but nonetheless, there are treatment options available to you, and there's nothing you have to cut out or anything, right?
No. In terms of surgically, no.
no. Just to make sure all goes well. So you don't have to necessarily have hormonal treatment. You just manage your body mass index, and just adjust your diets accordingly.
Yes, yes.
So what kinds of foods would elevate one's experience of PCOS?
Well, essentially, the modern diet is rubbish. What I usually say is that you go a generation back or 2 generations back, so you eat your whole foods, you eat your yams, you eat your edibles, you try and decrease the processed foods, because the processed foods is what killing us, and also to actually increases your obesity. So in terms of your diet, then the closer it is to the ground, the better it is. And essentially just to cut out all the sweet drinks and stuff, even though that's how our mind's being conditioning. Right. Yeah. So once you eat healthy, clean, that would be in terms of healthy eating, exercise more, and that usually decreases your symptoms and your issues with the PCOS.
I like it. Eat closer to the ground. I just love that phrase.
Yeah.
Don't graze on grass. Eat closer to the ground. Look at what the animals do. Seemingly they don't seem to have the same experiences that we have.
No.
Dr. John Barker, as always, it is wonderful connecting with you. May I ask you this question before
Yes, please.
You sure?
It depends on if I can answer it.
What 2 things can you never eat for breakfast? 2 things that you can never eat for breakfast.
Help.
It doesn't work so. It does not work so. He's scanning the studio. Who here will send him a signal? So what 2 things can you never eat for breakfast? It really is, you know. It's very easy. You see how you say you diagnose me? If I come and give you...
No. I'm here thinking meat. I don't know.
Go ahead. That's one.
Meat.
I'm not saying you're right. I'm saying that's one option.
I don't know, because I eat anything for breakfast.
Well, you're being too literal.
No.
I'm just telling you're being too literal.
Okay.
If you look at, turn it upside down almost, and you'll think, hey. But anyhow, I'll give you the answer later.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. John Barker,
Thanks a lot.
OBGYN. Today we took a look at PCOS. Remember, visit your GP, and in consultation with the OBGYN, they can help you manage PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. And in knowing what you need to do, then you live a far more fulfilling, meaningful life. Counseling may be required, and if it is required, do the counseling so you better understand how you're managing as you go. But we wish you well, ladies. Thank you so much, Dr. John.
All right, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
28 minutes after 6. We're back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 29 minutes now after 6 o'clock as we talk HR with Herbab. And this morning I'm so pleased to be joined by a learning and development specialist. Her name is Vicky Williams. And so naturally, we're talking about the benefits of leadership programs within organizations. Ms. Williams, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson.
Good to have you indeed.
Thank you.
Now, as a learning and development specialist, what is it that you do?
Oh, wow. Oh, dear. What do I do?
See, that was the easy question?
Yeah, it was the easy question compared to the one before, right?
Yes.
What do I do? So normally we develop a lot of programs, whether it be for leadership or if the organization says, okay, we have a need because we realize there's a shortcoming for an employee. And I say shortcoming loosely, but we really develop programs to help the employees to excel. Yeah. The benefits really is to the employee, yeah, and also then long term to the organization. Yeah, I know sometimes people say, what if I invest in my employee and they leave? But I always then ask you, what if you don't invest in your employee and they stay? Then what do you have? Yeah, I know organizations like to focus on the harder skills, the technical skills, making sure that if you're a secretary, you know how to use Microsoft, Excel, those kind of things. If you're an auditor, you know all of what is required to perform an audit. But the workshops and stuff, the ones that I really focus on at this time, are really to build soft skills for the employee. And I say soft skills, and every time I say I cringe because I don't like soft skills, because when someone hears soft skills, they think, oh, it's nothing major. But when you think of empathy, showing empathy to your employee, having emotional intelligence, being able to handle conflict resolutions, those are soft skills. Those are things that a lot of people, especially leaders who take on leadership roles, whether it be a supervisory role or a manager role, you realize that, okay, they don't have it, yeah? And it's not from lack of trying. Sometimes it's lack of knowledge. How to be able to monitor, how to be able to realize what's happening with an employee. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I facilitated some new hires that we had join our company. And I usually test the pulse of the people, tell me how you're feeling today as you start. Some people put the happy emoji, some people talk about being overwhelmed, etc. And one young lady, she put the crying emoji. So I called her out and I said, hey, what's going on here? She said, it's kind of personal, I don't want to talk about it. I said, well, if you want to talk about it offline, you know where to find me. And she did, right? And what I found so interesting, sometimes our employees are dealing with a lot, yeah? Both personal. They may come into an environment, it's new, they feel overwhelmed, they don't know how to cope, but you expect them to just perform.
Yes.
There's where sometimes you get the problem. Because when the employee feels so overwhelmed and the manager or the supervisor who's unskilled in handling that or dealing with the emotional intelligence of that person, they get fed up and they say, you know what, I'm frustrated, I'm gone.
I'm not sticking around for this.
I'm not sticking around for this. This is too much.
And that can happen in many scenarios, whether you're the new recruit,
correct,
or you've just been introduced to a new task or a new role.
Correct.
And suddenly you retreat to that childhood state, so
what
to
they
speak.
call the flight or fright.
Correct. So you're back there. And so you need to have that supervisor or manager understand the role they now have to play in helping that employee understand the new responsibilities, understand and navigate the challenges that may come towards success for themselves and for the organization.
Correct.
And I think sometimes in leadership position, whether it's supervisor or otherwise, we forget the humanity in human resources. We forget that. We see them as just units of production.
Correct.
And that's all you are. Whether you have a heart or a battery, that's all that matters. Just get it done.
Correct.
But the heart is absolutely critical today, I find, in business.
It is. It is.
And so this is what you do. I started by tease at the top of the show. I said, are all leadership training the same? And what do you say?
Are all the same. Truthfully, you have to tailor it to the needs.
Correct.
Yeah? You
I'm
really
testing
have
you
to
now.
tailor it. I know you're testing me, person. You have to tailor it to the needs, right? And in order to be able to do that, obviously you do a survey. So you test the waters, you test the understanding, you test what they really want to have. Because the employee can tell you, yes, I want to have leadership training. But then when you drill down into the employee, you have to really understand where they're starting from, where their basis is, right? And then you can build on that. So sometimes it can be a one-off session, or sometimes it can be multiple sessions that you would need to have. I recently had to do one for our senior group within my organization. And at the end of it, it's a 3-month program, yeah? And at the end of it, one of the seniors said to me, I'm really grateful for this. We would like to have more of this. Because then she realized I was only here focusing on getting the technical stuff done. I didn't realize that I had to do all of this, being in this senior role, I am now taking charge of the people who work under me. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. Leadership is not about being in charge. It's a skill set. Skill sets come with managing different personalities, understanding how to deal with workplace conflict. Yeah? Because you will get conflict, regardless of what you do. You get it in your family to begin with. So why not in the workplace? Some of the programs we also like to put on are mentorship programs.
Right.
Yeah. So even though you are a leader, you may be a leader, you can say, do this, do that. But it's not about doing this, doing that. It's about coaching the person. I may be a new staff member. I am now taking on a new task, as you mentioned before, right? I may know the task, but I'm a little nervous. You, as my supervisor, my manager, my leader, coach me in the way that I should go. Yeah? Rather than telling me, well, Pearson, go over there and sit and do that.
Yes.
Because-
Or Pearson, go over there and work with Rule.
Yes.
And all the while, he's also instilling some very negative habits in me.
Correct.
And so being able to see where I'll use the word deficits for now, the deficits are, you must be, as the leader, competent enough to know from what area of your toolkit you will pull.
Correct.
To be able to address this situation.
This is true.
And that, as you said at the beginning, comes from observation.
Comes from observation.
You don't just sit and say, well, get on with it.
Yep.
You have to sometimes walk the floor. You have to, in my opinion, sometimes just have one-on-one conversations. How are you doing today?
Exactly.
You know, just and a little tap on the shoulder to say, you great job you did yesterday, to encourage as you go. And then you hear everything flow therefrom.
Listen, I'd be in the supermarket and I would see somebody who worked with me and say, I want to talk to you. And I'm like, I'm in the supermarket.
Yes.
I'm on my time. But you still have to give that person an ear, because obviously, because you're going through your day-to-day, they're not going to see you. So you want to be able to engage that person. So when you know, okay, yes, well, XYZ is happening and this is how they're feeling and whatever, what's not. But, you know, being a leader, it really is about the administrative side, because it really takes away from a lot of your technical.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it's showing that you care. And I think the basis of having a good employee or encouraging someone to be a good employee is to show that you care. And don't just superficially care. Yeah?
I like your change in tone just now when you said it, because you're right. I hope you heard in that little whisper just how important it is to care.
To care, of
To simply
course.
care. And you're so very right, because that's all, as human beings, we search for someone who understands
Yes,
us and
that's
who
all.
cares. And so don't take that for granted in your workplace as well. In a leadership position, you also are required to care. It is not as simple as I have reports to complete.
Correct.
Get it done. Or we have deadlines to meet. Get it done. Why weren't you at work on time? What are you doing now? And even just the way they sound when you ask those questions, put my back up against the wall. I'm ready to fight back.
I am telling you.
So as a leader, so the kind of training and development that you do is to not just one-on-one, but to be able to look at the capacity, find where that capacity is, and apply, like a
Yes.
doctor that
Yes.
went before us,
Exactly.
the solution to be able to respond effectively, to make a difference with that individual.
I would say I would use solution loosely, because not everything fits everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've done the training that I curated throughout the Caribbean. I've done it Aruba, Curacao, and of course here at home. And what I've found in doing it in those other locations, oh dear, I forgot, I even did it in Jamaica. Oh my goodness. In doing it in those locations, every time you walk into the room to start to deliver, once you start, you realize, okay, you got to have that agility to tweak as you go along. Yeah. It's usually, it was a 3-day session. So by day 2, I had to change gears. Yeah. Because the needs of that particular group versus another group that I would have done it with were actually different, because you encourage them to talk. So once you go through the workshop and you're encouraging them to talk, you get a sense of where they really are, what their needs are, what their concerns are. Yeah. Sometimes it's just as simple as, okay, I want to be heard.
Yes.
Sometimes it's something as simple as I would like the leaders above me to coach me more, as opposed to being so aloof and standoffish. And I had to explain to them, your leaders may appear to be aloof and standoffish, but they're really thinking about how do I keep the business flowing.
Yes.
But then I also have to say in the feedback to the leaders, once the sessions are finished, your team really wants to engage with you. Yeah? So then they say, okay, Vicky, tell us how best. So I have a couple other things coming down the chute for the organization, but yes. But it is always good for organizations to make sure you do those leadership programs.
Yeah.
And I would say don't wait till a person becomes a supervisor or manager. Start the project journey when they come through the door.
Girl, you're going in my directions. Every step you're taking, I'm with you all the way.
Yeah.
But as I'm listening to you as well, the factor of time is going to be important. You need to build in the time to do so. And don't rush the process. Do not rush the process. It will take as long as it takes to be able to be understood. So that we can find a mutual space where we can grow together.
Correct.
So you need to have that time, but you also need to be able to use all of your faculties, I could say it broadly, to hear. And sometimes we think our faculty to hear is just our ears.
No.
Sometimes it's even in the silence that a lot is said.
The body language.
The body language. Yeah, I'm coming to all that. All of the other ways that people speak and scream.
Correct.
And we don't hear it.
We don't
see it. We don't feel it.
Nope.
We don't any of those kinds of things. And so the training that you do is to help leaders understand the totality of what is required of them. And this is what she does very, very well. I'm just looking to see, because I really want to talk to you some more. So what I will do, Vicky, if you don't mind, I shall take a break right here.
Okay.
And we'll come right back with more.
Not a problem.
Good. We're back in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 17 to go to 7 o'clock. We're talking HR with Her Map today, and our guest is Vicky Williams. She is a learning and development specialist. We're looking at the benefits of leadership programs within organizations. And I know you tell yourself, that's obvious. It's not always that obvious to you. And so that's why we have Vicky here to help us understand all of the nuances around developing those programs and why and in what ways best respond to the situations in your particular environment as well where you work. So Vicky, let's continue. I want to talk a little bit now about how do we begin because I think for every development program that we introduce, it has to be supported from the top. Right. As my friend Joan would say, from the C-suite.
The tone of the top.
Correct.
Has the
I like
filtered
that.
out. The tone of the top, yes. We use that all the time. The tone of the top is what sets the pace, right? So the tone at the top has to make a decision, okay, we want to cultivate a learning culture within the organization. So that when you come through the door, you don't only meet with the HR coordinator and you say, hello, Pearson, welcome to whatever organization, but go on and you meet and you sit and you start to work. No. Let's start the culture from there. You put them through a proper orientation so they understand what our safety rules are, what we do as a firm as it relates to the community, our corporate outreach. And then you go on from there. Because once you build that trust with that new employee and you treat them as though you matter, and you continue that journey with them. So let's say 3 months down the road, you do a check-in. You have a buddy with them, to work with them. You do a check-in as well, and you say, how are you doing, Pearson? Is there something we can help you with? Yeah? And then you move along from there. 3 months, then you put them into a training session with like-minded people around their peers, etc. You put them into a training session. And then it doesn't have to be anything hard. It can be something as active listening. You talked about that, about how people listen. Because you and I might be having a conversation and I might be staring all over the place.
Yes.
That's not active listening.
You see what I'm doing here? Can you read my body language?
Of course, you are well engaged.
Okay.
You are into what I'm saying. You are really listening. Unlike some people, once you do that, that's a barrier.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So when you're also talking to the leaders, you also say, well, let's have an open body language, right? Within my organization, we are fortunate. We have an open door policy. So I can knock on the door and I can say, hello, can I have a conversation? Yeah? Many organizations don't have that. And then within, again, speaking for my organization, the tone at the top is what counts. We do by first name basis. So even if my manager, I still can call you Pearson, as opposed to
Mr. Boeing.
Mr. Boeing. Yeah?
So
because
formal.
it sounds so formal. Because then it creates that openness
Yes.
for me to come and share something with you, depending on how I'm feeling. Yeah? So, leadership, trust. You have to build on trust. Because at the end of the day, if I come and I share, I'm feeling this way, I wouldn't expect you to run off and say, well, you know, I just had a conversation with Vicky and XYZ. That's not what you want. Yeah?
Yeah.
Mutual respect and understanding as well.
Leadership sets the culture, the tone at the top.
Yes.
And so, leaders, that's so important. I'm going to give an example. This is my third employer.
Okay.
My first employer, where I was in banking at the first, and you know, in banking it's all about customer service anyhow.
It is.
We had embarked then on an initiative to adjust customer service. What I found very interesting at the time was that everyone within the organization, from the director to the guard, had to go through the process because we're changing the culture.
Yes.
It also, in that process, empowered the guard to say to the director, hang on, you just broke the agreement because of your action. It empowered him or her to be able to do so.
Yep.
How relevant do you think that is to changing through leadership development, or to change the concept of leadership in organizations?
Yes, it is very relevant. Because you just said it, to be honest. The guard felt empowered to say, well, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. This is what we agreed to. And that is what you really need in an organization, accountability as well. So I can say to you, I'm your manager. We're going to get to work and we're going to do this.
Right.
But I stroll in at 10. Where's my accountability? Yeah? I can't expect you to do all the work if I'm not there to help you or to coach you or to guide you. Where's my accountability? So the persons above me must be able to say, hey, this is not what we agreed to. You understand? It all comes back to that workplace culture, that openness, and being able to say, thank you.
Yes. Yes.
I appreciate you. And there's so many small gestures that you can use as well. Talking about your scenario at the bank, when I first joined an organization, good few years ago, Pearson, I wouldn't say how many years, but a good few years ago, I remembered within my first 6 months, I was like, this is not for me. I don't want to be here. I don't like this culture. And I remember going home to my mom, good mentor, I must say. And I said to her, I gave her all of my grievances. I was so upset. And she said, you know, V, when you leave organization A, you go into organization B, it's not going to change. It's going to be the same. Maybe it is something within yourself that you need to look at as well. Yeah?
Wow.
And I remember saying and saying to myself, what does she mean? Well, I am just fine.
Yes.
But then I come to realize, after then having conversations with other individuals in the organization. So this is now where the mentorship comes in, right? You must realize that there are some parts of yourself that you need to change as well.
Vicky.
Yes, Pearson.
I like the fact that you're following as well. You're going with me. We're going together.
Yes, Pearson.
Because in leadership, the value of the 360
Feedback.
review.
Yes.
Right. Because oftentimes leaders shy away from that.
Yes.
They don't want you to tell them what they
you
are
s-
seeing.
Correct.
So let's talk a little bit about that as part of the leadership development in organizations, because that's the thing I think a lot of leaders fail, and supervisors as well, all the way through the organization fail in. I'll review you, you don't get to review me.
Correct.
Let's talk about that.
Okay. We recently started a program called that same 360 feedback, where you do the upward feedback as opposed to the downward.
Right.
And I think some people were hesitant because it's easy for me to point out your flaws. It's difficult for me to see mine. I don't want to see my flaws. I don't want to think I have flaws. But not only that, as leaders, right, sometimes our leaders, they put up walls, you know, because they are afraid to let you know that they don't know.
Yes.
So they put up these walls as well. I had one young lady, she sent me a feedback request. And I was like, well, I can't believe she's asking me for a feedback request. And I was like, okay, let me rack my brain. The thing about the feedback request is not to say, well, to attack the person's personality.
Right.
It is really to give constructive, what we call constructive criticism. Yeah? And be honest, feedback. If it was that this person was giving you that kind of feedback, how would you want to receive it? Right? So I did give her the feedback, and she said, thank you. Because these are some things that people have never said to me. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But I was trying to be, you still have to be nice.
Yes, yes.
Because you don't want to have hurt feelings, right? If it is that even before you get to the 360 feedback, you recognize that your supervisor, your manager, is doing some things that are not of their norm. Because sometimes what is happening in your personal life can come into your professional life, yeah? Regardless of how you try. You should feel comfortable enough as a junior staff member to say, well, hey, I realize XYZ. Are you okay? And then that person, if they're going to be honest with themselves, have to say, well, yeah, I need to check myself. Because I came in, I was a little snappy, and I'm not usually snappy. Okay, maybe whatever it is that's affecting me has now spilled over into my professional life. So you want to have that kind of open, honest communication, the two-way communication, and the accountability. But the environment has to be cultivating that kind of culture for you to be able to have that.
It has to be a safe environment.
Has to be.
Where I can feel comfortable, that I can tell you, Vicky, not in that kind of tone.
Of course, of course.
You know, what I think, what I observe.
Correct.
And you don't feel as though, you see, the minute he walks out of here, I am going to write HR on him.
Correct.
It's going on his file.
Correct.
And to know that we will still be good colleagues. I mean, I was going to say friends because we can eventually have that kind of friendship, but that we can still be two colleagues who get along and for the good of the company.
Yeah. I like that term you used when you talked about safe space. Whenever I start any of the sessions, I have ground rules. My ground rules, you must participate. I am not talking to you, it's a discussion. And this is a safe space. And I usually go like this. This is a safe space.
Yes.
What you say here stays here. It is up to you to take it outside of here. But everything you share with me or my colleague as facilitator, it stays right here. And once you do that and you put persons at ease, I tell you, the information that comes out, it just flows.
Yes. Yes.
Because it's not what they're expecting. When I first did the first workshop we curated in Jamaica, when the participants came in,
When he or she know, let me hear she.
their backs up, you know.
Yes.
Let me hear what is happening here. By day one, everybody was like, all right, I'm going to relax a little bit.
Yes.
by day 3, at the end of the session, one guy said, the manager came and he said, you know, I thank you very much for this. Because I thought this was going to be another talk shop.
Waste of time.
A waste of my time. He said, but you helped me to see so many things about myself that I did not realize. And it was not by saying, Pearson, I don't like your tie. Correct. Pearson, I don't like that color. It don't suit you. It was just how you apply stuff. Yeah? And that's what makes it count.
Yes, truly, truly counts. And so, to the supervisor for just a moment, because oftentimes you're called on, and I'll give you my example as well, called on to have to convene meetings, because you want to share, not just share, but to come up with ideas, brainstorm for just a moment. I'll tell you one of the things I do. One of my ground rules in any meeting I have is the word no does not exist.
Does not exist.
Does not exist. Let me hear how. Because if I can think it, it is possible.
Correct.
How can we achieve it? It might not necessarily happen now, but how can we achieve this? And go ahead, the finger came
I'm
up.
going to say, I'm glad you said that, because one of the things we also look at is change management and agility. As a manager, you're accustomed doing A, B, C, D, and going on the road. You may have, I don't know what they call them, the Gen Z, the newer ones, they're coming into
those
the
young
firm.
People, yes.
Those, as you said, those young people. And they obviously going to come with fresh ideas. So you come to the meeting, as you said, you come to the meeting, and you're saying, this is how we're accustomed to doing this. But the Gen Z is saying, but there's an easier way. But you don't push them one side. You listen.
Yes.
Yeah. This is where your learning curve is now going to come, based on your agility as well. Be open to ideas as a leader. That is the kind of things we also go through when we do these programs.
Indeed. Be open as a leader.
Ideas. Yeah, be open.
To everyone.
To everyone.
You know, there's the desiderata. If you really look at the words to that, even this is all part of it.
It is.
Embed the values that are shared in that, and you will find that life becomes so much easier.
Correct.
And even within your organization as a leader, at any level, if you apply these principles that we've been discussing this morning, life becomes so much easier.
So much easier.
So much easier. And so, as I would say too, I will not memo you unless you did something wrong. We could get along famously, but when you do, you forced me to take a particular action. And I think once we all understand that from the very, very beginning, and we have that kind of relationship, because we understood what leadership is all about, then we can see a far more harmonious encounter. My thing also is, for me, is even though I would have issued the memo, you're still my friend. You're still someone who I enjoy working with. It was just the thing that just I had to deal with.
Yes.
Not you.
Correct.
And while you may be the person who did the thing, don't see this as an indictment on you. I see this also as an opportunity for you to turn the curve and be better. The finger came up again.
Sometimes it is how it is, not what is done, it's how it's done.
It is done.
Yeah. I've had an employee say to me, we were in a group meeting and my manager bawled me out for something, and I'm like, no. How did it make you feel? And she explained, etc. And I said, well, have a conversation with her. Have a conversation with that manager, and let them know how you felt, because you really would like that it doesn't happen again. So it's things like these. If there is something you want to say to an employee, there's no need for you to embarrass them.
Yes.
There's no need for you to call them out. Pull them one side, Pearson. You did something there that I didn't like.
That's right.
Now, if it is something that continues, then obviously you have to take it to the
different
next level.
action.
Yeah.
Vicky Williams.
Yes,
oh
please.
my word. I just speak to us all the time. I wasn't aware so much time had already gone by. This was so good talking to you indeed. She is a learning and development specialist. She focuses on the benefits of leadership programs within organization with us this morning. And there's so much more to this leadership styles, these leadership styles that you need to learn a whole lot more about. But check her map. hrmab.org.bb. And I keep saying to you, membership brings benefits.
Yes.
So just become a member of HerMap and you draw on all of these resources. They can really help and guide your organization to be as successful as it has to be by also approaching the people within the process as well. Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. The question still is,
Oh dear.
What two things you can never eat for breakfast?
Pearson,
Yes.
if Dr. Barker was unable to answer this, why do you think I will be able to?
Women always have a perspective that we never thought, you know.
So, I can try it.
Let me hear you.
Lunch,
Go ahead.
dinner.
What nonsense are you talking about?
You can't eat that for breakfast.
Well done, Vicky. Well done. She got it right. She got it right. I thought I had her stumped.
I'm
Well
sorry.
done indeed.
That's why they call me the Learning and Development Specialist.
Of course they do. There you go. Morning, Barbados. Take a break right here. We're back in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're a minute and a half after the hour. Let's take a look at news now. Now is not the time to play with our future. The advice comes from Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley. She was addressing a Barbados Labour Party spot meeting at Rotondo St. James last night. It was held in support of Chad Blackman, the party's candidate in the upcoming by-election for St. James North constituency. She told the gathering that accountability is key and drew attention to promises that have been fulfilled over the past 7 years in office, despite having some major challenges.
And when I tell you that for the first 2 years it was fighting debt, and for the next 3 years it was about COVID, believe you me, that the first real hand that we have had to play shots is in the last 2 years in this government. And in spite of that, you could get 16 roads done in St. James North. In spite of that, you can turn around and have your children go to university without worrying whether you got the money to pay for them or not. In spite of that, we have been able to bring unemployment in this country down to 7.1% as we speak. The only time it has ever been lower is in December 2007 under then Barbados Labour Party government. And if God gives us the will, you will see it go below 7.1% because you deserve jobs in this country.
In his address, Mr. Blackman shared his view that the future of a nation will depend on a generation that conceive and implement ideas, export them, and earn a living for themselves and their country. It was against that background that he said he was encouraged by the response of a tech hub being set up at the Gordon Greenwich Primary School last week.
And I was so happy that so many young people turned up, young children, adolescents, and their parents. And to the parents who sent their children, and for those who've called after, asking, how can I get my child signed up in this tech hub? I say to you, I give you the commitment that your child is going to be in a safe space where they can come and learn modes of technology. You've heard my colleagues before speak about my international experience. Well, I want to tell you, it is one thing to have international experience and international contacts here. I plan to make sure that that experience and levels of contact can now benefit the people of St. James North. So whether I have to speak to international organizations, international agencies, so that they can bring cooperation and technical assistance at a local level to benefit the people, mark my word, it will be done.
Well, the next Barbados Labour Party meeting is tomorrow night at Husbands Road, the Garden, St. James. The first Democratic Labour Party meeting is scheduled for tonight at Weston St. James, starting at 7 p.m. Well, Barbados has topped the list of countries that support the United Nations-based multilateralism and the Sustainable Development Goals. That's according to the 2024 Sustainable Development Report, which contains the index of countries' support to UNMI. Barbados scored 92% ahead of Antigua and Barbuda on 91.1% and Uruguay on 90.7%. The United States came in at 193 with 15.8%. In sports now, an unbeaten half-century from Shakir Paris powered Barbados Pelicans to a comfortable 7-wicket win over Guyana Rainforest Rangers in the West Indies Breakout League yesterday. Chasing 154 for victory at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad, the Pelicans finished on 156 for 3 in 16.2 overs. Paris hit 5 fours and 7 sixes in his knock of 85 off 46 balls, as the Pelicans improved to second in the points table on 20 points. Earlier, opting to bat first, the Rangers posted 153 for 6 off their 20 overs. Kevlon Anderson led with 69 and Quinton Sampson made 43 not out. Kadeem Aline took 2 for 19. Here are the highlights.
Here's Simmons.
Good morning to you.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
The Ministry of Youth, Sports, and Community Empowerment's Bridges television series is back.
Join us every Wednesday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Saturdays at 5:30 p.m. on CBC TV 8. Don't you miss it.
God will not give you a job. God will not call you to do something and then not give you the capacity to have it, to make it happen. He will give you the resources, he'll give you the people. Not only will he equip you with ideas, but he will equip you with favor, as he did Nehemiah.
Turn on the latest episode of Infinite Possibilities, only on CBC TV 8, every Sunday at 1:30 p.m., sponsored by Covenant Life Teaching Center.
Welcome to Nature's Discount, the ultimate health food store. At Nature's Discount, we have thousands of quality products at great prices.
Hi guys, Dottie here with Nature's Discount, and today we are talking about Solar Ray Microbiome Probiotics and why you should be taking them.
And we have well over 3,000 amazing products to help you get healthy.
For your health tips, tune in to CBC TV 8 every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday for Nature's Discount, sponsored by Get Healthy Incorporated.
Week after week, Scald presents exciting reports and documentaries on the most varied topics of our time. Spectacular developments and innovations, lifestyle and trends of tomorrow, mobility and tourism, health news, highlights from art and culture. Each contribution grabs the viewer with extraordinary images and stories and takes him into fascinating worlds which he experiences here exclusively and up close. We're there when companies and specialists develop super satellites for a global network in space and can look behind the scenes. Scald is a window to everything that is there or is yet to come. Fly with us through time to better understand today and tomorrow. You've always wanted that. Scald, a look into the future.
Our world today is not the world God.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
12 minutes now after 7 o'clock, and off to Africa we go, to Liberia, as a matter of fact, to meet a man who is a fourth-generation Barbadian. He's also a former Liberian ambassador. He's come to Barbados. He's written a book. He's written books, as a matter of fact. He is Ambassador Sir Lorenzo Llewellyn Witherspoon. Sir Lorenzo Llewellyn Witherspoon, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're very, very welcome. From Barbados, we send greetings indeed. And I know you've been here relatively recently. You came with a delegation from Liberia to reintroduce them to their family on this side of the world. Let's talk a little bit about you, the Barbadian man in Liberia, and from where did you start here in Barbados, your family?
Well, my family originally actually two on both sides of my maternal and paternal families. My great-great-grandfather, John Prince Port, was among the 346 Barbadians that went to Liberia in 1865 as a result of a negotiation between our former president at the time and the governor of Barbados at the time. And so that's on my mother's side. On my father's side, rather. Well, actually, on my mother's side.
Yes.
Because my grandmother married my grandfather, who, up until recently, we thought came from Trinidad. But when I came to Barbados in the first time in 2020, it would have rested on the Prime Minister to inform me that, in fact, they were bests, that all the best that went to Trinidad went there from Barbados. So she confirmed, and I accepted that I was 100% Barbadian. So on the port side and on the best side, our entire ancestry originates in Barbados.
That knowledge, how important to you, the foundation of who you are, is the knowledge of knowing that you're 100% Bajan?
Well, I think I can best describe it in the way my daughter described it last year around about the same time when we're on the show with Tisha. And Tisha posed almost the identical problem to her. What does being in Barbados 59 years later mean to her? And her response and my secondment of that is that it brings life for us, we know it, full circle. We finally know or have evidentiary proof that we are of Bajan extract. That's where our ancestors came from. On the one hand, I'm a fifth generation. On the other hand, I'm a third generation Barbadian. So it just, and my daughter said, now she has 5 different nationalities. And she says, you know, for me right now, I finally have the nationality that makes sense. Even though she doesn't have Bajan nationality, but she's convinced as a result of our research and everything else, even if the Immigration Act doesn't get amended, for her, she's satisfied just knowing who she really is now. And that's the same thing applies to me. I think as we prepare this week, or as we have been preparing, the most important thing to all of us here, all the 57 families that were on that boat, we have imaginations. Actually, we have dreams of our ancestors turning over, celebrating in their graves, knowing that finally the 2 countries have been rejoined at the hips, and it will be so forever. That's the ultimate satisfaction we get from this.
I love your daughter's comment when she said, she now has a legacy that makes sense. And so you've recently written a book called The Ports Find a New Home in Liberia, story of the post-emancipation emigration of John Prince Port family from Barbados, and a whole lot more. Talk to me about putting that book together and the processes that you went through to make sure that you're just accurate in what you're reporting in the book.
Well, you know, it's interesting because growing up, my grandmother always told us, I shouldn't just say me, that her grandparents came from Barbados. And we believed her because as little boys and girls that time, we realized quickly that she talked funny, which is the Bajan accent. And then when she and my granduncle, her elder brother, Albert Port, got to talking, we couldn't even understand what they were saying. You know? So, but they had picked that up through 2 generations, from their father and from their grandfather. So that thing went straight through the family. And of course, eventually we all started talking that way. But to come back to your original question is, my daughter was in school in Canada at McGill University, and she had many, many friends, most of them from the Caribbean. And one day they said to her, Lois, why don't we go to the Caribbean Club meeting? I'm not Caribbean. And the story she told me was that one of them said, Lois, don't be silly. Look at yourself. Look at your hair. Look how you walk. Look how you talk. Of course you're Caribbean. Then she said, I remember my father did tell me that his great-great-grandparents came from Barbados, and okay, let's go. She could not get home fast enough to call me and says, Dad, I know you know what you know, but I know there's a lot that you don't know. Let's do this research. I'm in my final year, but I'm willing to put some time in. If you are willing to take some time off from your work, and let's begin a research into this, our ancestry. Thankfully, around the same time, by some stroke of, I guess, serendipity, I ran into Ambassador Chad Blackman, who was ambassador at that time in Geneva to the United Nations and other international organizations. And we struck up this conversation, and we almost immediately clicked like brethren. And he began to advise me and tell me, you know, that yes, you should go, you know, encourage me to write the book. Actually, even gave me some resources for my research. He connected me with the archives, the lady at the archives, Ms. Kumba Batch, and we started the research online. And eventually, we literally hit a brick wall. And I'm sure you understand what I mean when I say that.
Yes.
Because although the archive is laden with a lot of material, a lot of journals holding all these slave records, second to which are only the ones held in the UK, we couldn't access them because they had been bounded up in journals, some of them 200 years old. And so we said, you know what? We are going to pause here, report, write, and make it available in the public domain, what we've found out so far, and continue the research. It was important to me for two reasons. One was to encourage other families to not only research, but to write about things. Many people have been doing things, but this was the first time that any descendant of one of those 57 families had actually documented their findings and made it available publicly. I hope I can say with assurance that others have written and have done the same thing. But we did this in 2020. I haven't come across anything yet that has happened, but I'm constantly encouraging others to write. Because it's the only way. The Prime Minister always says that other people are telling our stories.
Yes.
And they're not telling the right stories. They're telling the stories they want to put out there.
Yes.
Until we start telling our own stories, the real stories, people are going to be believing what they read. And most people believe everything they read. I don't happen to be one of those people, but I was very happy that Dr. Carrie Banton put her PhD thesis into a book, More Auspicious Shores, which is the most the most significant account of the relationship between Barbados and Liberia, and Barbados actually and Africa, but focusing primarily on Liberia, of how Barbados, for the first and only time in history, was able to allow the citizens to leave after the Emancipation Act was activated and go to another country. And since then, that has never been repeated. So Liberia and Barbados is almost, I refer to it as a Barbados in Africa. I call Crozaville, where the area that was given to our ancestors to settle when they arrived in Liberia, in addition to land and citizenship, was that area. So they wanted to create an enclave within Liberia for these Barbadians that came on that ship. And today it still stands as a testimony, as a memorial to that journey across the Atlantic in 1865.
You know, sometimes when we research our own story, we have to confront the ugly truth of what also happened in our history. Did you have those kinds of moments?
Right.
And I'm not going to ask you to embarrass yourself by sharing the ugly truths, but at the same time, how did you deal when you stumbled upon a side of the family that wasn't so pretty?
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't bring that up, but since you've put it out, let's flesh it out. I did have several moments like that, you know, and I confronted. Unfortunately, it's been, mind you, 160 years since that immigration happened. But so most of the people that hold the oral history are gone. My uncle, my mother's younger brother, who is now 88 years old, Kenneth Best, he wrote a book, actually, Albert Port, an unofficial biography, A Lifetime Trying to Save Liberia. And it tells the story of all the families that came, but it focuses on our family, the Port family. And of course, which led to marriage became also the Best family. It tells that story. But I have confronted him on few occasions about things that are in his book that I have found out to be otherwise. And I'm not sure whether he knows about them or not, but he says, oh, really? I didn't know that. And one of the plausible aspects of it, not so difficult to swallow, is that, in fact, no, his father, my grandfather, George Stanfield Best, didn't come from Barbados. He immigrated to his family, his ancestors immigrated to Trinidad, but they came from Barbados, you know, and he didn't know that. Other things in our family, we still don't know who our great-great-grandmother was, John Prince Port's wife. That she wasn't on the Cora. We couldn't find any divorce records, and in death certificates and in burial records. Those are some of the things we're still looking for. But we finally got to have some questions answered that were not even emerging in our before the research in our minds as questions, because we found out that one of them was of Irish abstract, either fully Irish or half Irish. Because in our family, we found out that they live in the Irish Town area, the former Irish Town, because it doesn't exist anymore. It was near St. Thomas there.
Yes.
And it's falling into the valley because it was at high elevation. And in that area, a lot of poor whites, as they call them, or redlegs back in the day, who were brought into the country not as slaves, but as indentured servants for the slave owners. And after 1936, they began to intermarry, integrate, in fact, and that's how it came about. But we finally found out through the research that one of them may have been either 100% Irish, meaning white, or half white, because, and it began to make sense to us in our family, why there are so many people that are so clear. I am taking my complexion from my father, but I have other siblings and other cousins who they could pass for, they look like even whiter than Rihanna to draw a comparison, So, and, it's just, we just couldn't understand it. Some of them have eyes almost like Chinese, and we know Barbados was, at one point, the islands were occupied by several different people from many parts of the globe. So the history is such that I see this journey as one that's never ending.
Right.
You will never find out all the truth. I don't think in one lifetime it's possible to do so, But what's important is that we keep searching, because there's so much, and DNA is incredible. And I found that information through DNA, by the way, not through research, and I started pushing it. I also found out through DNA, and then later on confirmed by ancestral tracing in my research, that my ancestors originated from northeastern Nigeria.
Oh, my word.
So we are originally, it was their ancestors that was caught and bought or sold and chained up and sent to the Americas as slaves. We never knew this in our family before.
Ambassador Witherspoon, I'm going to have to put a stop right there. I'm coming back to you in just a moment, I promise you, because there's another significant moment in your lifetime that's happening tomorrow, and we'll talk about that when we come right back after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Our world today is not the world God wants it to be. One of the reasons which will surprise many is that our planet, its governments, and its peoples are all living under the weight of Satan's rule. From the beginning of mankind's existence to today, human history is the written record of what it means to live under the rule of the devil. Yet that rule is coming to an end. And what a difference that will make.
Every Sunday at 9 a.m. on CBC TV 8, tune in for Tomorrow's World, sponsored by the Living Church of God.
Hey there, it's Mahalia. I want to share something that...
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
7 o'clock, we've reached all the way across the seas onto the motherland, the continent of Africa. We're in Liberia at the moment, speaking with Ambassador Lorenzo Witherspoon. He is a fourth-generation Barbadian, but he is very Barbadian, I'm telling you. Now, Ambassador, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, arriving in Liberia for 3 days is the Most Honorable, Her Excellency, the Most Honorable Dame Sandra Mason, President of Barbados. What does that mean to you to know that the head of our state is coming to where you live?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, Prison, since I arrived here on Monday from South Africa, where I live, and when I arrived here, I was told by my family up in Crozerville, who's been working for the last month preparing for the arrival of the president, that it's just so amazing that they surrounding the whole preparations was a strong, unique, and unmistakable presence of our ancestors. Buried in the cemetery is about 1 minute walk from where our homestead was or is. And so they're all buried in there with the tombstones bearing their names, saying that part of the delegation come from Barbados in 1865. And it seems like beneath that surface and in that entire area, people are just celebrating. People are celebrating because, one, in their lifetime, there was no relationship ever between Barbados and Liberia, except for that relationship in 1864 between Sir James Walker and President Daniel Warner, that led to the immigration a year later of 346 Barbadians to Liberia. So they are saying that, and they all wanted to do this, they all wanted to see this happen. But they were so busy trying to create a modern state, and that was why we asked for them in the first place, because we had just become independent in 1847, and of course, just a few years earlier, the Slavery Emancipation Act has just been kicked into Barbados. So everybody was anxious to come here and in exchange for, like I said earlier, the citizenship, land on arrival, and all of that. But these people are rejoicing, as are we, because we are living something that they didn't get to live. One, to see three things really. One, the Sankofa pilgrimage to Barbados, which first anniversary we'll also be celebrating. We are celebrating now because it started on the 6th of May last year. That was the beginning of us coming together. Two, the presentation of letters of credence by the ambassador of Barbados to Liberia. Yes. Ambassador Bino Sutherland. And now three, the president coming here. I mean, this is something that, in my wildest dream, when I began my research, it never crossed my mind that any of those three things would have happened. And indeed, it was not intentioned that any of those three things would happen. I just embarked upon an exercise to find myself. To find out who we really are and where we really came from. And it's ongoing, like I say. But the president coming here today, establishing relations with Liberia, in the Liberian context, it brings full circle the relationship between Liberia and the Americas. While we've had several American presidents come here before, at least 6 of them, more than that actually. I think the last one was President George Bush and his wife. But we've never had any president from the Caribbean, much less Barbados, with whom we have the most historic relationship, come to our country. So it's a big, proud moment for the government. Beyond that, since the current president was inaugurated just over almost a year and a half ago, this is the first visit of a foreign president that he's ever had to Liberia. So that's also significant.
Yes.
Also significant is Ambassador Sutherland. Bino Sutherland's presentation made her the first Caribbean ambassador ever to Liberia. So you see, it's just, you can't separate these things. It's just a conflagration of wins.
Yes.
And so it's so exciting. The emotions here are so palpable. People are happy in the streets, Many people didn't even know about Barbados, heard about it before. But just hearing the story on the radio, on the billboards all over the place, people are just excited. Very excited.
You've just made us also equally excited about what's going to happen. We're told that she's visiting to deepen cultural and economic ties between ourselves and you. And, for the story of Barbados to continue, it has to be embedded, I will use that word broadly, into the children. The children also need to understand and to know. How is that being done in terms of passing on what it means to be Barbados and from who they come so that they continue the journey that you've started?
Well, exactly. And I think your last 3 words hit the nail on the head. And that's precisely that. For me, that was the compelling rationale at the urging of my daughter to do this research. People need to know who they are, because like the word that I chose to describe the pilgrimage to Barbados, Sankofa. Sankofa is a Ghanaian word that means you have to know where you're coming from to know where you are going. And I think this thing has now been embedded in these children. Our children, when in last year for the Sankofa Pilgrims to Barbados, you saw the number of children who asked their parents to pull them out of school because most of them came from the States. Their school was still in session in the States. They pulled them out of school to come. They wanted to live this thing. They wanted to see it. Of course, everybody was excited about Rihanna, but people were more excited about, wait a minute, this is the story we've been told all our lives. And they were just, maybe the youngest was about, maybe, I think 4 years old. The oldest, in terms of young people, was probably about 30. But they wanted to see this for themselves. They wanted to experience this. And I think that's exactly why we're doing this. Already, since last year, many Barbadian Liberians, have bought homes in Barbados. Many more are planning to come, thanks to the situation in the U.S. now, because most of them are coming from the U.S. But now that people know who they are, and you know what, Pearson? In Barbados, people felt at home. The place is so much like home. Wow. It's so much like home in every way. When John King comes back, Senator King, he will tell you, he's here. I had a meeting with him last night at his hotel. He was saying, I knew I was excited, but I didn't know it would be so exciting. Wow. He actually went up to Crozaville yesterday to do some as a search. I mean, just to look at the place with the advanced delegation that came. And he was saying, this is just amazing. This is just, we could not believe it. You have to experience this to really feel it. So already we are planning next year of a return pilgrimage to Liberia by Liberians and Bajans from the global diaspora, just like we did in Barbados last year. Because now that we have broken through these boundaries, establishing diplomatic relations, having an ambassador accredited, the president visiting, and I guess to follow will be enactment of several joint communiques and stuff. Now we need to put flesh on these bones that we've discovered and build them. But I can assure you, the young people into who's they have the responsibility for taking this relationship to the next level. They are so excited. They are extremely excited about doing this. That just tells me,
Go ahead.
Please go ahead.
We feel your enthusiasm. We know your enthusiasm indeed. And so as our president arrives in Liberia, what's on the plan in terms of how she'll be engaging over those 3 days with the Barbadian Liberians?
Well, I think the plan that the government has made out, unfortunately, the visit is very short, but the plan the government has laid out so far, I think tomorrow, on Friday, she will be receiving the key to the city of Monrovia at the Monrovia City Hall. And then there will be a luncheon there for her. And then I think there's a tour of Providence Island. Providence Island is the place in Liberia where the first Americans arrived in 1820 when they came to Liberia. And that's very historical for us. So she will be going there. There will be programs there. It will be the youth. There will be a huge youth contingent for her to engage with. And that's tomorrow. But then on Saturday is the big day. That's Friday. And Saturday is the big day where she goes up to Crozaville and gets to feel and sense this thing that we've been talking about. And among the ceremonies that will be happening in Crozaville that day, first of all, in the morning, there will be a parade by the school's children there. And then my foundation, the foundation we founded before the pilgrimage, TABI, the Africa Barbados Heritage Initiative, we have donated the monuments of three Barbadians who became presidents of Liberia: Arthur Barkley, Edwin Barkley, and Judy Bryant. Yes. We've donated that we have a park where the monument of Crozaville is. We call it the Crozaville Park. We've asked the president to unveil those three monuments to memorialize those presidents. And then there will be a church service at Christ Episcopal Church, the church that the Barbadians built when they first came to Liberia in 1865. Actually, it's not the original church. Twice the original churches have collapsed, and that's the third church that was built. The civil wars that we have wreaked a little bit of havoc on the country, but we are on the mend. And so those would be the activities. And then after that, there will be a visit to Brick Cora House. Brick Cora House is the residence of one of the descendants of the 346 Barbadians that's now is in the Weeks family. They have now donated it and transforming it into a museum bearing the name of the ship, the Brick Cora. The president will visit that. It's still under reconstruction because it's the last one house that's still standing that was built in the early 1900s. And then she will go for lunch on Port Hill. Port Hill is the homestead of the Port family in Liberia, Albert Port. And there will be an open-air luncheon where she will again get to engage with people. But at the monument, there will be a ceremonial planting of a breadfruit tree. Which she will also do. Yeah. Yes. And you know, our ancestors brought that.
Yes.
In fact, the one main street that runs through Crozaville is called Lemongrass Street. So I think that street is going to be renamed Barbados Liberia Street.
Nice.
While she is there as well. So she's going to be, she's going to be busy.
Extensive.
She's going to be
quite
busy.
extensive indeed.
Yes.
You know,
it's a lot to pack in 3 days.
A lot. I'm sure she's going to enjoy all of it, and she'll bring all of her memories back to share with us in Barbados as well. So you get to meet her at the lunch at the port residence when she arrives, correct? Wonderful.
Well, so I first get to meet her at the city hall when she's presented the key of the city.
Yes.
And then the lunch there, and then on Saturday in Crozaville at the church service at the monument at the Brick Cora House, and of course at Port Hill, where our homestead, our family is going to be entertaining her.
It's a busy time for you as well. Ambassador Witherspoon, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We are from Barbados excited about what's happening there. Just out of curiosity, what's the time at the moment where you are?
Right now, it's 11:41. I think that makes us, 6 hours?
No, you're 4 hours ahead. You're just 3 hours ahead of me.
Oh, in Liberia, yes. Yeah, I think it's 4 hours.
4 hours
in
ahead
South
of me.
Africa, it's 6 hours. Yeah, 4 hours, yes.
Fantastic.
4 hours ahead. That's
Well, it was wonderful talking to you, sir, and I wish you the very best. I know you have a very busy schedule ahead. As I will caution you, take some rest. You still have to take care of you, but continue telling your stories and the stories of Barbadians, all right?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pearson, and my best wishes and regards to all of my family and friends in Barbados.
Thank you very much indeed. We're coming right back with more in just a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey there, it's Mahalia. I want to share something that might be really helpful. If you're feeling anxious, overwhelmed, depressed, or lonely and have no one to talk to, call Lifeline Barbados. We all face struggles at times in our lives. You're not alone. There's no need to feel ashamed or embarrassed. It's okay to reach out for support. Lifeline Barbados is completely confidential. No one else will know you called. They're there to offer a caring ear and guidance without judgment. And fellas, I want you to know asking for help is a true sign of strength. It takes real courage to reach out. You can also call Lifeline Barbados if you're worried about loved ones who are struggling and you need advice on how to support them. There's a saying, a problem shared is a problem halved, but not everyone has someone they can confide in. That's why Lifeline Barbados exists, to be there for you or someone you care about during tough times. Save this number. Lifeline Barbados is just a call away. Remember, you can reach out whenever you need to talk.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
The Ministry of Youth Sports and Community Empowerment's Bridges television series is back. Join us every Wednesday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Saturdays.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We are 15 minutes now to go to the hour of 8 o'clock, and boy, do opportunities abound in Barbados, on Barbados, for all of us. And so when we come together as one, we are powerful. And so Judine Canterbury, who chairs the PCOS group, they're providing a seminar, a summit really, on Barbados for just a couple days. But in those couple days, there are people who are movers and shakers globally. And so this one is for you. Pay close attention, everybody. Joining me this morning right here in the studio is Judine Canterbury, who is the chairman of the PCOS group. But you're also much more than that. We know your face. We know the work you do as well in terms of recruitment. And so how important is it, Judine, to put on this?
Coming out of the recruitment, you realize, especially from having our career fair last year, you see the need to have continuous opportunities for not only for Barbadians, but especially for our youth. And so I was looking for a new initiative that could inspire our people and also our youth as it relates to getting information for development, improving themselves as individuals, and from being in the Middle East, this is the type of setting that they normally have that really empower their people.
So this leverages us, all of those people who are part of this. They leverage you to be able to go beyond this 166 square miles and to position yourself among the world's best. And that's, I know, one of your missions. It's bridging continents, building futures. Innovation and investment in global trade. And so for a lot of people, sometimes they think, I'm too small to trade globally. And you want to turn that thinking around. You've pulled together a number of heads from around the world. Could you introduce them to us as we welcome them onto our studio as well?
Today we have Mr. Matthew Knowles. He's pretty popular in the entertainment industry, known basically for Beyonce's dad.
Of course. Yeah. This is Beyonce's daddy. Daddy, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We know Destiny's Child. We know your daughter Solange as well. And we know naturally what flowed from this very, very creative family. So we're excited to see your participation in the upcoming summit. Are you equally looking forward to it?
Absolutely. Especially to talk to the youth there. You know, the theme is, as you said, is bridging continents, bridging futures. That's our youth and innovation and investment. So yes, I'm quite excited about working with the young people, talking with the young people, looking at the opportunities that exist in Barbados and how we can scale those opportunities into bigger opportunities for all.
I like the fact that you exist in an industry about the creative skills. And for a lot of people, sometimes being able to monetize it and to position it in such a way to make success, and we read from your own bio alone tells us that you are able to do so very well. I suppose that's part of what you'll be engaging with our young entrepreneurs on?
I'm on a forum that will convene with industry leaders, policymakers, investors, and innovators from across these dynamic regions to explore avenues of collaboration, investment, and sustainable development. So that's one of the things. And then I will give a seminar on building iconic brands, leadership in the digital world. And we'll talk about Beyonce, building the brand of Beyonce. So I want all the youth out there that's listening that want to be in that creative space. I hope to see you at this dynamic day that we're going to have in Barbados.
And so, Judine, you know, this is not a small cast at all. These are powerful people at the best of the industries that they're representing.
Yes, of course. One of the reasons why We have targeted these people because we want to make the whole thing believable. When I first started out reaching out to some of these individuals, especially the ones from the Middle East, it was not always received. But in continuing at it, especially working with the Emirates airline, and being able to be in their space and having conversations and making other connections, then you realize that Barbados is a very small place and there are a space out there for everyone, for you to actually go after your goals and build a life for yourself. And you can actually see your dreams take place right before your eyes, but you have to be connected to the right people. And this is one of the things that having a conversation with the chairman of Alisage and also Mr. Mahir and also Mr. Knows too as well, you have to be connected to the right people if you want to know exactly how to accomplish certain things.
It's so vital.
Yeah.
We call it rubbing shoulders. We also call it connection.
Yeah.
And so who else is coming to be a part of this?
His Excellency Mr. Mahir, he's also here with us today, and also the chairman of Alisage as well.
And so, Mr. Mahir, Ambassador, Your Excellency, you are a visionary leader, they call you. They tell me also that you are a very seasoned banker. You come with a lot of information and a lot of experience as well, working extensively with various ministries in future technologies. And so that's the direction in which the world is going. Talk to me a little bit about what you expect to be able to share with the Barbadians when you engage in the summit.
Thank you very much, and thank you for being here. And I think a true appreciation goes to Jordan, first of all, to make that happen, because this is not a small task to bring people from across the globe and showcase experiences and learn from each other as well, and how can we promote even Barbados together. I just came up from a panel discussion which was all about talking how UAE is going to be transforming its country into a digital economy and also a circular economy, and we launched both of them back in 2022 and 2021 respectively. One of the things we realized what we need to do in the country is cope up with the global trends which is going on, and how do we make sure we are making relevance. One of the important things is making sure the country itself welcoming investor and making things, the ecosystem is developed. If we to replicate the same thing for Barbados, how do we help and provide information to the Barbados and the businessmen and also the government officials, what steps need to be taken for Barbados to be on the map even further, to make sure that they interact FDI and also build an ecosystem in terms of becoming digital as a country to transform, which is a key trend going on globally. Everybody want to transfer, but it has to be done in a very manner which is like a roadmap need to be created for that thing. The second key important trend which is going on even globally today, which is circular economy, which is to do anything with sustainability, renewable energies. How do we make sure that we preserve the biodiversity? So these two key trends are going hand in hand. And the first trend of digital economy is fueling the development of the circular economy in terms of advancements, and so many things are going on, whether it's developing AI models or whether it's predictive models, whether it's quantum computing and so forth. So we hope we can share that thing. The other key trends are there. This is very important, but I think it's very, one other thing I did in my TED Talk last February, it's about also how do we actually reform the education system and then build the future workforce. Because we need to make sure that we shape the education system from schools and universities so they become relevant for the future realities, because today whatever we teach them actually are kind of distant. Now, one of the great things we've done in UAE 10 years ago, we realized that and we said, okay, what should be the profession that we need to teach our children, and what profession they should go and learn and send them to international education. So we came up with a code book saying that these are the professions which were not named at that point of time, i.e. nobody was filling those professions, even something like a metaverse, an expert, or even an AI expert. Mind us that the UAE country was the first country in the world to appoint an AI minister back in 2017. Although AI predate before that, but the world got to know about AI, i.e. it got premiated when ChatGPT came in life in November 2022. But imagine the country 5 years ahead of that knew the importance of AI and how it's going to be relevant, and they started preparing all the government officials. So the beautiful problem that we have in UAE, and I keep on saying that thing, we've got a great leadership, they've got a great vision, and we'd like to share that as well. How do we can make those practical steps over there? But they knew that what will be coming on first, so we make sure that we prepare our government, and then of course the private sector follows. Usually when I work globally somewhere else, always private sector leads and the government at times follows. But we've got a different reverse formula over here, which is making it very easy for people to come over and look at the ecosystem. And if we can able to share this thing in a very subtle way, I think at Barbados, I believe we'll be able to put a good seed that over a long run will have a good fruit to reap up in the near future.
Well, do we agree with you? And it's a part of the conversation we are having on island as well, positioning Barbados to do all of these wonderful things as well. As the Prime Minister has plainly said it, you know, this is the direction in which we go. And so, Judine, you're doing a good thing at the right time. That's, I think, also very important. But then there's someone else who you have coming along to share with us on island as well.
We have the chairman of Alisage, which is one of the largest entertainment agencies in the Middle East. So they're coming to share all of their expertise. What he has also mentioned to me is that they're going to be open to be doing internship for Barbadians. So after all of this, we are going to be helping some young Barbadians who are interested in doing internship. He's actually going to be allowing them to come back and do internship within his company.
Well, let me sit right, because there's an opportunity for me right here as well. And so, Abdul Latif, this is what you do, and not just do this, but you've been able to be groundbreaking in what you do. You've brought entertainment also to the UAE, MTV channels and so forth. So you work in the media space as well. And so being able now to take what we have and leverage it in the way that we do on the many varied platforms and to broaden that availability as well. I suppose that's part of what you're teaching us when you come.
Yeah, I think, Person, thank you so much, first of all, for having me here. I would love to thank Judine as well. I think the way she sold Barbados to us was in an amazing way. You know, we can't wait to be there. I believe we are on a mission. Someone like me who started his own dream from a coffee shop and a laptop, coming there with a mission of bringing simplicity to the youth. Something caught my attention during the break. There was an ad about the youth and their dreams and contacting the morning show. It's amazing when we start looking at them as the catalyst of change. You know, I think my message to them is going to be, do it, you can do it now, and you do it with the resources you have. We come from a place where it was 50, 60 years ago, sand, mountain, and sea. So we didn't have a lot of resources, but then we've had amazing leadership who believed in us, who believed in turning this land and this country to a global destination. So same thing can happen for Barbados. I personally come from Dubai, and I think one day our leader said, why not now, and why not for my people? I think that same Dubai dream can be repeated elsewhere. That story can be taken by the youth, by the people who have a lot of dreams. And I think our mission there, as Judine said, we want to give them opportunities. I want to see how I can recruit some talents. I want to give them the opportunity to be recruited in some of our global offices, whether it's in the Middle East or beyond the Middle East. But then you have a life story, someone who just carried his own dream, but then he made it happen. So why not? Every youth there should carry a dream, and they should have a right to dream, not dream small, dream big. And we are there to hopefully convey that message to them and to show them how they can make it happen.
And it can happen, folks. The summit is coming up when, Judine?
June 10th to 13th.
How can we register now so we're ready and in there?
Everything is online. If you go to the www.fisosummit.com, you can register online, you can purchase your tickets. All the box offices, tickets are available with them too as well. And at our office locations, we also have tickets too as well for persons that, you know, don't want to go online and do all of that. They can actually come to our office location.
Simple Simon met the pieman. So this is an opportunity, Barbadian, young, old, not indifferent, but certainly whatever stage of development you are, you know, this is something for which you need to pay close attention. Be at the summit. These gentlemen who are coming are experts in their respective fields, from building the brand, from finding the platforms on which you can project yourself even further, and also to be able to understand the circular economy and the generational benefits from family businesses. All of those are things that they're going to be looking at. You have to be at the center of it all. So just go to the website. Let me spell it backward. Let me get it right. Spell Joseph for me backward. See, even she has that problem. It's right there on your screen.
ESOJ.
Thank you so much, Judy. It's right there on your screen, folks. We're bridging continents, building futures, innovation, and investment in global trade. And it all happens on the June 10th to 11th. 13th, and what locations?
We have the 10th and 11th at LESC, and then because the event actually has 3 tiers, the keynote speaker event, then we are also going to be having a trade aspect where we're going to be enlightening individuals about visas and business licensing for the Middle East and Asia, and if they're looking to transition and expand their brands. And then we have a third tier, which is basically going to be the investment forum, where we have a panel of investors and you can pitch your idea.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I'm out of time, but I'm looking forward to welcoming you to Barbados and engaging with you as well. Julian Canterbury, chairman of the PCOS group, thank you so much as well for joining us this morning and for making this happen and becoming a reality for Barbadians on island. Thank you very much. Mornin Barbados says thanks to all of you as well for joining us today. My little crew joins me in saying to all of you, have a great today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.